One, we not this past weekend, but the weekend before, we found out the gender of the baby that my wife is having, and it's things like this will happen, and it is not the end of the world. So I didn't realize like how much shame I'm holding. Hey, welcome back to the channel. My name's Josh. This is my journey to 10K months in my mindset coaching practice. I'm gonna start calling it a mindset coaching practice because honestly, one of the things that I constantly repeat over and over is that everything's a practice. And you hear this in other industries as well, like, a law firm is a law practice. A doctor's office might be a medical practice. Everything's a practice. So this is my journey to 10K months running a mindset coaching practice. So it's currently Monday afternoon, and I normally run these videos on Thursday afternoons, but I had a really busy week last week. But I don't want to miss or skip a week. I want to commit to posting these once a week, and a lot has happened over the past week and a half. And so I want to jump right into this so that you guys get the most out of your time. And that's one of the things that I'm starting to consider now is your guys' time so that you guys get the most value out of these videos. So the first thing is going to be some personal updates. Then I'm going to talk about a realization that I came to last week, which isn't really talked about a lot in the entrepreneurship world. And then lastly, an uncomfortable conversation that my wife and I had. So the personal updates are, one, we, not this past weekend, but the weekend before, we found out the gender of the baby that my wife is having, and it's another boy. So if you guys don't know, I have a son. He's currently 14 months, and my wife is pregnant with our second. And so we are going to have a second baby boy. So that's exciting. It's going to be crazy, right? In this one-bedroom apartment that we're in, having two boys and a dog, and then the two of us living here. But we are so grateful for this little life that is currently being baked in the oven that is my wife's belly. So that's exciting, right? I actually might post the video of us kind of revealing that here on YouTube. So be on the lookout for that. The other thing is the client that I landed 2 weeks ago ended up backing out a couple of days after she said yes. This happens. This is not the first time this has happened, and I know it won't be the last time. But part of me, already mentally prepares for things like this to happen. It didn't get me down. It didn't ruin my day, right? This happened on a day where I usually spend the day with my son and my dog while my wife works. And it didn't take away from the enjoyment that I had spending time with those two. One of the things I want to impart on you guys or let you guys know is that things like this will happen, and it is not the end of the world. So the reason why she backed out was because she was in a tough spot financially. She's an entrepreneur, and she's pivoting in her entrepreneurship journey right now. And so she lost one of her high-paying clients and currently doesn't know where her next, which is very common in the entrepreneurship world. She doesn't know where her next payment is coming from. And so even though she committed by giving me a deposit, I ended up refunding it back to her, right? Because I'm not going to take money from her. She refunded her deposit and decided, after some consideration, that she just can't commit to this financially, though she does see the value. In our discovery call, she even told me like, hey, you know what? Thank you so much for this call. There was massive value in this, and there's massive value in what you're offering, which reassured me too, right? That I'm not just like pulling something out of thin air. This is based on my experience and my knowledge and I don't think I've ever shared this with you guys, but a lot of my program is based in neuroscience and performance psychology. And so I think she saw that and she's like, wow, like you don't really speak to the level of value and the level of knowledge that you have in your, in your reels or your videos. So she had no idea, but she saw the potential in it. And so we're going to meet, I think, in a few days. She's going to get back to me, but we're going to meet in a few days because she wants to go through with this, and she wants to see if she can offer some other form of value. And because I'm in this, this beta phase, I may consider doing it, but that leads to another update: money. I got back 2 responses from outreach that I did for potentially getting back into architecture. And I mentioned this in previous weeks, but I'm looking to get back into work because money is getting tight, right? I don't have an income coming in from the coaching practice other than a corporate client that I got a few months ago. And that's just not enough to cover the bills. And our savings is dwindling. So I need to jump back into the corporate world temporarily to shore up our finances again, and then to really push this business. Because just because I'm jumping back into the corporate world does not mean that I'm giving up on this business. And that's one of the things that I think is very easy for people to kind of fall back to, is that they may take the easy way out, and this is not something that I'm taking lightly. This is something that I'm absolutely committing the rest of my life to. And by saying that, I don't say that lightly. Like, I absolutely see the potential, and I absolutely am committed to the impact and the inspiration I want to have on all future first-time founders, because I know how tough it is mentally to push past the barriers that we set up ourselves in our own minds through our thinking. And I want to be able to help people push past that, to help people support them so that they're no longer in their own way, and that they can generate the impact and revenue that they're looking to make in the world. Because we absolutely need more entrepreneurs in the world, especially ones who are looking out for people in general, right? So I'm not giving up on the business, but I am I'm going to be making some phone calls to these interested parties that I sent out requests to, work for some firms. So we'll see how that turns out. Those are the 3 personal updates. I'm going to jump into something that I was thinking about a lot last week, and it's something that you don't hear a lot in the entrepreneurship world, which is nearly everything has a prerequisite. And one of the things that I'm promoting as a mindset coach is that mindset is a prerequisite to starting a business, to doing anything really in your life, right? Because I think most of us understand that it starts, like, starting anything starts with our thoughts, our thinking, which are 2 different things. Thoughts and thinking are 2 different things. Thoughts are something that we have. Thinking is something that we do. We're not always in control of our thoughts, but we are absolutely in control of our thinking. We just don't exercise that control. We don't have agency to be able to allow ourselves to control our thinking. And that's one of the things that I help clients get through. But prerequisites. So there are prerequisites in anything that you hear being promoted online. So anytime you see a sponsored ad on Instagram, Facebook, wherever it is, people will tell you that this is the thing that you need, right? But they rarely talk about the prerequisites to making that thing be successful for you, or making it effective for you. And so when I think to starting a business or being a founder, one of the most important prerequisites that, and this isn't something that I just believe, so many other successful entrepreneurs, businessmen, leadership, like leaders in the world, athletes, like they will all tell you that mindset is a huge prerequisite to success. And I also want to talk about some other examples, like follow your passion is one. follow your passion is something that I hear quite often in the self-development world, or the self-help, the entrepreneurship world. But follow your passion, one, it makes an assumption that there's only one. And it makes an assumption that you have to know what it is. And the prerequisite might be that you have to know what it is in order to be able to follow it, right? But what if you don't know what your passion is? And then on top of that, passion fades over time. And so there has to be some deeper reasons why. And that's another prerequisite. There has to be deeper reasons why you're pursuing something. And a lot of that is tied to, your personal values, your deeply held personal values and beliefs. And sometimes the beliefs that you have, the negative beliefs or the stories that you're telling yourself, are preventing you from discovering what your passion might be, or what your purpose might be, or what you could be doing, simply be doing, that you love. And so I would love to hear from you guys. Tell me anything, comment literally anything, and I'll tell you what the prerequisite might be for that thing. Because everything requires a prerequisite these days. Whether it's some form of knowledge, experience, or simply being able to have a strong mindset so that you can think through whatever it is that's holding you back. And then lastly, my wife last week, she brought up an uncomfortable but necessary conversation. And this one's kind of tough to talk about because it didn't really hit me how much basically being poor is affecting my wife. And she asked me, one of the things that she asked me was, and she's never asked me this before, but she asked me to take a look at her savings. And so last Friday, her and I sat down and we went through all of our accounts and we added up, everything that we have. And it made her feel, a little bit at ease to know, how much we had in savings, investments, and all of that. But it's not a lot. It's definitely low enough for both of us to be pretty uncomfortable and very conscious of our spending. And it didn't, until she asked me that, hey, I want to know how much we have in savings, I didn't realize how much shame I'm holding by being in this position where we don't have a lot of money. And so, and part of that was I did a lot of reckless spending in my 20s, and I got into a lot of debt. And my wife kind of inherited some of that debt when we got married. And that might spark some debate, but she was willing to help me out in paying some of that off. Now, I used a large part of the amount of money that I was making because throughout my career I was always kind of a few steps ahead of her in terms of income, and so I was able to make the majority of my payments to my debt. But she pitched in, and she pitched in a good amount, and we had to have this tough conversation about your finances and my finances, or are they our finances because we're married? And so we kind of had to come to an agreement on, okay, what are we going to decide in terms of our finances? Money is always an uncomfortable conversation to talk about. And I know some couples who absolutely don't talk about it at all. But I think speaking about your finances is an important part of transparency and vulnerability and honesty in a marriage. And so, yeah, we had to have this conversation, and she straight up told me, hey, you know what? I know you want to pursue this, and I absolutely support you in pursuing this mindset coaching practice. But we've got to be realistic about our situation, and I don't think there's any way around you needing to jump back into the corporate world. And she was right. Like, I'm doing my absolute best to reach out and land clients. But the tough part of this is, because I'm starting from scratch and because I don't have a proven track record of, having clients generate revenue, when that's one of the things that I'm promising, I absolutely know that almost immediately, if I were to just land 5 clients, that would instantly prove me credible, because all of the tactics and strategies that I've outlined in my program, I'm using to, have my own breakthroughs, and I would immediately have broken through the revenue barrier, or the revenue objective that I'm touting in my program. And so, yeah, so that's something that I will keep you guys updated on. I'm going to respond to the emails that I have on these 2 firms that are looking to potentially work with me. I'm going to find out about that. And yeah, and then I think I'm just going to have to be diligent and persevere through working a 9-to-5 again, and balancing, having a family, balancing having this side business that I know one day will turn into my full-time business. But until then, you guys will see me here reporting from my closet in my 1-bedroom apartment until I can upgrade. But you guys will be here. I mean, I will be here. You guys, some of you who are watching this may not always be here, but I will always be here and share these struggles, these real challenges, and show you that it's not easy, but I absolutely know it will be worth it, because I have no doubts that it will be worth it. It's just I've built that resilience. I've built that level of grit, that level of commitment, and strengthened my mindset to the point where I know this will work. And that actually just reminded me of a topic I wanted to cover, but I'll save it for the next one. Thank you guys for being here. Anyone who watches this, thank you for being here. And I can't wait to share in my successes as they come. I can't wait to just show you guys that you can come from, this level of, I don't even know what to call it, this like, it does feel like I'm starting from the bottom and working my way up. And I just am excited to share with you guys that, we don't always have all of the benefits. We don't always have all of the connections. It's just me hustling, and I'm working with business coaches, right? Part of it has been me investing, and I've spent close to 18,000 now in investing in my own growth. And that hasn't come lightly, especially considering our financial position is not the strongest right now. But I just know it's all going to be worth it one day. And I can't wait until that day comes. And until then, I will just enjoy the journey. I will enjoy all of this, because all of this is part of it. And yeah, that's it for today. I'll see you guys next time.